All right, let's talk about something big in web development. We're going to take a hard look at a tool that so many of us reach for automatically, and we're going to ask a really important question. Is your favorite state management library actually helping you, or is it secretly holding you back?
Okay, wow, that is a pretty bold statement, right? And listen, before we go any further, let's be super clear. This isn't a Redux is bad talk. Not at all. Redux is powerful. Think of it like a giant, heavy-duty monster truck. But here's the reality. Most days, you're not hauling tons of gravel. You're just driving to the grocery store. And for that, what you really need is a quick, zippy electric car. We're going to explore why always picking the monster truck by default might be a huge mistake.
So how did we even get here? Well, Redux became the industry standard for some very good reasons back in the day. But you know what happens when something becomes a standard? It becomes a reflex. We stop asking why we're choosing it. And that's exactly where the sneaky, hidden costs start to add up. Picking a tool just because everyone else does is a trap, and it has some serious consequences.
And the very first cost, the one you feel right away, is what I call the boilerplate tax. Oh, you know this feeling. It's when you realize you're spending more time and writing more code to simply manage a feature than you are on the actual feature itself. It's like every tiny task comes with this huge, complicated paper trail of extra code. It's a tax, and it's paid with your team's most valuable resource, speed.
I mean, just look at this comparison. It says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the whole Redux ceremony. You've got your actions, your action types, your reducers, your dispatch calls. You have to build this entire Rube Goldberg machine just to, I don't know, flip a switch in your UI. And then on the right, with something like Zustand, you just flip the switch. That's it. If you're a startup, speed is your superpower. Why on earth would you choose the complex ceremony over just getting it done?
But here's the thing. The boilerplate, as annoying as it is just the tip of the iceberg. It's the cost you can see. The real danger is the invisible cost that's lurking right under the surface, performance. It's this silent killer that slowly, quietly chokes the life out of your app's responsiveness. And by the time you actually feel it, you're already in deep trouble.
We call it the performance silent killer for a reason. Because Redux usually relies on one giant global store for absolutely everything, it creates this tangled web. A tiny little update in one forgotten corner of your app can send shockwaves across the entire system. You might not even notice it while you're coding, but trust me, your users, they will feel every single millisecond of that lag.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this happens. It all starts when we do something that seems harmless, like putting simple UI state, is a drop-down open, is a button loading, into that big global store. Because everything's connected, a single simple update triggers a massive chain reaction. This forces components all over your app that have absolutely nothing to do with that change to re-render. And every single re-render means React has to do work. When that happens over and over, unnecessarily, the app just gets sluggish. And that's what leads to a frustrated user.
So what's the electric car in our analogy? Well, if Redux is the big, clunky truck, then Zustand is the sleek, lean alternative. It's designed from the ground up to get rid of the boilerplate and solve these exact performance problems. It gives you just enough power, right when you need it, and nothing more.
So what is Zustand really? Well, the keywords here are small, fast, and scalable. It basically gets rid of all that ceremony by using a super simple hook-based API that just feels right at home in any modern React app. It feels less like you're adding a huge library and more like you're just using React itself.
And look how easy it is to get going. Seriously, it's this simple. 1. Create a store. 2. Use the hook. 3. Update your state. That is it. Just think about that for a second. Compare that to the Redux world, where you'd still be setting up different files for actions and reducers. With Zustand, you're already done and moving on to the next thing.
And all of this rolls up into one huge benefit, a radically improved developer experience. When you have less code and simpler logic, your app's state becomes so much easier to understand. And when developers spend less time wrestling with their tools and chasing down weird re-render bugs, they have more time to focus on what actually matters, building an amazing experience for the user.
Okay, but to be fair, the monster truck definitely still has its place. It would be wrong to say Redux is useless. There are absolutely situations where its rigid structure and all that ceremony aren't a bug, they're a feature. So let's talk about where that big truck is still the right tool for the job.
Think about a massive enterprise-scale application with like dozens of developers all working on the same code base. In that kind of environment, the strict rules of Redux actually become a safety net. They enforce a predictable pattern that makes every single state change traceable. That kind of strictness is an absolute lifesaver when you're trying to prevent chaos on a really large team. This table really breaks it down perfectly. If you're a startup or building an MVP, you need speed and simplicity. That's Zustand, hands down. But if you're working on a complex enterprise app with a huge team, the structure and safety of Redux is probably the right call. But look at that third line. For most UI state, the stuff we deal with every day, Zustand's performance and developer experience make it a much better fit.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's really about shifting our mindset, moving away from just picking the default, and instead making a conscious, informed choice. As developers, we have to start prioritizing things like performance, development speed, and frankly, our own sanity over just sticking with what's always been done.
In the end, it all comes down to this one simple rule. Don't over-engineer. Using a tool like Redux for simple state is the definition of over-engineering. It's like bringing that monster truck on your coffee run. You're just adding a ton of unnecessary complexity, weight, and cost for no real benefit. The goal should always be to pick the simplest, most effective tool that gets the job done.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Take a look at the projects you're working on right now. Are you driving a truck when a zippy electric car would get you there faster and more efficiently? Have you already made the switch to something leaner, or are you sticking with Redux for a reason? It's definitely something worth thinking about.